Hi, I'm Wayne Martin with Real Estate One, and today we have Marianne Siefert. Marianne, what do you do and what are your companies?
Well, I have two companies. I have a placement service called Marianne Senior Placement Services. I help the elderly find an appropriate assisted living community if they can't or don't want to live in their own home anymore. And then I also have a resource directory for the community called the Senior Source. And this is just chock full of all kinds of wonderful resources seniors need as we all age, actually.
Right.
And just a lot of good information and tips that help you get through some tough times.
Some tough times.
Yeah.
So, in order to start, what should people think about first? Now, we talked about POA.
Mm-hmm.
So explain what a POA is to the audience.
Okay, well, a POA stands for power of attorney.
Okay.
And it's a legal document, and it's very important because the power of there are two different types of power of attorney. You have power of attorney for healthcare and power of attorney for financial. The healthcare power of attorney allows you to designate somebody that you trust to make healthcare decisions for you in the event you can't make your own.
Right.
Let's say you've had a stroke or for some reason you are incapacitated.
Okay.
So, and then the power of attorney for financial helps a person pay their bills. You designate
Right.
a person, another trustworthy person, to
Right.
pay your bills and help sell real estate or whatever financial situation you might be needing it for.
Well, great. So let's move on to trusts. Trusts are a big deal. Why are they helpful?
So what I see working with elderly people, and when we pass away, we really want to have an estate plan. Now, I'm not an attorney. I want to preface that.
Right.
But I see the benefit of having a trust because when you do pass away, you have already designated and allocated where you want your assets to go.
Right.
Therefore, it doesn't have to go through probate. It doesn't have to go through the court system. So without a trust, your assets go through probate.
Probate.
So
and
it's
that's
important.
Yeah, that can take a long time.
Yeah, it could take a long time. So
Yeah.
you may have a will, which is good if you
Right.
have a will
It's
because
a
you
start.
can allocate, right? But even with the will, your assets would still go through probate.
Right, and it's pretty expensive, and it's time consuming. Recently, we just had to work with a child of someone that passed away, and they had to put a bunch of money into this house so we could get it sold for them. And we got it sold, but the money they put in is now sitting for up to almost a year before they can get their money back. So
Right.
it's, not necessarily a great thing to not have a trust. Let's put it that way.
Right,
Even though
right.
you have a will. Will's better than nothing.
Well, a will's better than nothing, definitely.
Yeah.
But in your trust, you can include your power of attorney, who you want to make your healthcare decisions, your financial decisions. You can include all of that in your
Right.
trust.
And a trust even works when you're incapacitated.
Correct.
You don't have to die.
Correct.
Right. And so
Right.
someone can step right in and keep going.
Right.
Have access to your finances, and there's a
Right.
lot of really great reasons to have a trust. Again, we're not attorneys. You need to reach out to your attorney, your trust attorney. There's plenty of good ones in Shasta County. If you would like some referrals, you can reach out to me or Marianne Siefert.
Or you can also go to the Senior Source has a website with all these resources called ReadingSeniorSource.com, and you click See Directory, and then you can go to Estate Planning and Attorneys,
Right.
and you can see several attorneys are listed that can help you with your estate plan.
Sure.
Now, I want to point out something that with power of attorney, you don't actually need an attorney to fill out a power of attorney document.
Okay.
So, but trusts are always recommended to use an attorney.
Yes.
But with just power of attorney, you don't actually need an attorney. So,
Okay.
You can print the documents. Again, off my website, I have healthcare power of attorney and financial power of attorney documents.
Great resource.
Yeah. So, but I always like to point that out because some people believe they need an attorney for that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So what is your URL?
Oh, it's ReadingSeniorSource.com. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. And your phone number if someone wanted to call you?
530-222-2250.
Right. So if you're seeing this, and we might have her phone number and information down below, you might take a look at that. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit briefly about long-term care, how that might flow into all this.
Yeah, so long-term care insurance, I see a lot of my clients have long-term care insurance, and kind of circling back to the power of attorney and the importance of that document. If you go to use your long-term care insurance and you're really not understanding and you want a family member to help you, the long-term care insurance company won't talk to just anybody unless there's a power of attorney on file. So you can give verbal consent over the phone. That I've had that clients do that, because I actually call them to help interpret what their policies are. So sometimes I like to call to get clarity. But my client has to be with me to get that consent over the phone. But if you're in the hospital suffering from an illness and you can't talk, you need to have a person to speak on your behalf, and the long-term care insurance company needs that document on file.
Oh, that's great.
That's very important, the power of attorney. I can't stress it enough. Even if you go into like a memory care type community, some facilities require you to have a power of attorney before they'll accept you.
Right.
And if you already have Alzheimer's and you become incapacitated, it's too late to do a power of attorney. You have to do power of attorney while you're competent.
While you're competent. So that kind of goes back into, let's just swing back into trust. So from a real estate standpoint, we generally need a copy of the trust that we can take. If we're going to sell property, we need to take it to the title company, title and escrow. They have to review the trust and make sure that whoever is the trustee or the trustee next in line that is handling it, that everything is put together properly. Because sometimes you need 2 doctor's notes if someone is having dementia, Alzheimer's, in order for the successor trustee to be able to step in. Otherwise, it might be good for other aspects of what you're doing, maybe with assisted living or whatever. But if you're going to transfer real estate, we have to have the title company take a look at it and approve it. Right. Because you said that there's some trusts where they only need 1 doctor.
Some power of attorneys are written that you just have to read through it, but there's a box you can mark to make the document effective immediately. Versus having the 2 doctors declare you incompetent.
Right.
So that's what we did for my parents. We designed it that way so that we sort of removed that step of having the doctors declare. Sometimes the primary care physician doesn't like to declare their patients incompetent. But it really worked out for us because it was one step we didn't have to deal with.
Right. Well, sometimes it's hard to get into the doctor.
And in a timely fashion.
When you need to. And from a real estate standpoint, if you're trying to get your home sold, we can't wait till the end of the close of escrow because it may not meet the requirements for title and escrow. And so we need to know early on from that standpoint, because it could be a train wreck.
Right. So yes.
Yeah.
And good planning.
There's just all this planning, which
details.
I think is really great that you're such a resource for seniors and the seniors' families, or whoever's helping them through that. And again, please reach out to Marianne.
Yes, I would love that. I love talking, and just if I don't know the answer to a question, I usually know the person who does know.
Right.
So I try to get people to the right place.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not an attorney, but I can certainly give you information on that.
Sure. Well, like for our business too, is we lay out your options. We're not trying to direct you got to go a certain direction. It's like, these are your options, these are your choices. You're an adult. A lot of things are complex, and we need to be able to give you the in-depth version and what opportunities or negatives are of what you're dealing with.
Right.
So we work as a resource. And if you need to talk to an attorney, we always say, you got to go talk to your attorney. You need to talk to your accountant. You need to talk to your family.
Right. Absolutely.
So
your CPA.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to, we'll do a podcast of long-term care insurance. And but on the short term, if anybody has some questions about their long-term care, you're a great resource to kind of read through it and go, this is X, Y, and Z and how it works.
Yeah.
Is that okay if they give you a call?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, so for placement, that's one of my questions I ask people, do you have long-term care insurance? And then I can help them interpret. And if it's even a struggle for me, I'll just call.
Right, yeah.
But so my phone number again is 530-222-2250.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on board. And,
absolutely.
And look forward to talking
Thank
about
you for having me.
more senior things in depth.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks, Marianne.
You're welcome.